Welcome back to our color wheel guitar. We are going to paint the grayscale for the frets in the stem of the guitar. And I've divided out with a ruler 11, you can have at least 10 of these little frets here. So 10 little rectangles that I divided out that will be made into the grayscale going from light to dark. So we've taken the paints from the paint cabinet and we have 2 wells of white and 1 of black because black's very strong and we don't need a lot of it. So that's all the paint you're going to need for this. So I'm going to set that down here. Have my paintbrush ready. The first fret on the left will be pure white. So we're going to paint pure white in the first fret and make sure that we go very neatly and clean. And then as we move to the right, we're going to add a teeny tiny bit of black. So I have my white, put it in a well, and add a little bit of black because we just want it to be a very light gray. So that's gonna go in the next one, and we start to paint that neatly. These little rectangles are small, so you don't need a lot of paint. You'll notice that when I paint, the paint is only on the top half of the brush. If the paint's spilling over onto your stem, you're using way too much paint. So make sure that when you mix, you're using half of the paintbrush. So I finished that one and I noticed it's a little bit darker than I wanted. So I'm gonna go back in with my white and put the white in right on top because I want a really, really light gray. So I'm gonna mix more white in with it so that it's just a hair darker than the white, which that looks better. So now I have the next shade. And then I'm gonna keep adding a teeny tiny bit more black to the same well. We don't even need to rinse our brush out. So I'm gonna put that down and start to paint evenly and neatly and make sure that everything is filled in. And I noticed from here to here to here, it's too dark. So I'm, again, gonna add a little bit of white to lighten it up a little bit more. We just wanna see very light changes in each of those rectangles. So that one looks good. You wanna stay light for the first half and then start to get darker. So we have the white, a really, really light gray, a little bit darker gray, and I'm just touching a little bit of black in here. I'm gonna do the next dark gray. So every time you put your paintbrush down for the next rectangle, you should notice that it's a little bit darker than the previous rectangle. So I'm filling that in, pushing the brush down into the paper, push. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm gonna keep adding a little bit more black each time. And if you go outside the lines, it's okay because we're going to cut this out. So I have 5 now. I have white, the really light gray, a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker, and keep adding the black to get darker and darker. And as you paint, if you notice, okay, maybe that's too dark, then just add a little bit of white back into it. Because you can keep adding the white and black until you have that grayscale that you need. No need to throw away your paper and start over. Paint's very forgiving. Let it dry, paint over it. If I notice, oh, this is a little bit too dark for that, then I can come in with a little bit of white and go over with white. So I'm gonna fill that in and I'm gonna keep adding a teeny bit more of black for each one all the way down. So now that we have 7 completed rectangles done, and we can tell the difference in the grayscale for each one of these, getting darker and darker as we go. The hardest part is getting light enough. So you want to keep adding whites until you can see the difference in each rectangle getting darker. So now I'm going to start adding even more black into the last well so that I can finish the last 4 frets. So I'm going to put my white in here, and then I'm going to add the black and make sure that I have enough black to make the next one a little bit darker. And again, remember, only use enough paint to be on the front half or 3/4 of the brush. If it's going past, then you're using way too much paint and it gets really messy. You can hold it lower for more control and paint slowly. And then I'm going to add more black to make it a little bit darker. This one's going to be even darker. So we're getting into the really dark grays until we get to the last one, which should be black. So a little more black. Now, when I look at that one, I'm saying, well, that one doesn't look black enough. I don't see a difference between this one and this one, so I'm going to add even more black to that one till I get it to be dark enough, darker than the last rectangle. When I'm grading you, I am looking to see that you have all the different rectangles in different shades. If you have 2 or 3 rectangles that look like they're all the same shades, that's when you're starting to get points knocked off. So this last one will be pure black, so I'm going to rinse my brush so there's no white in it. And I'm going to take just the black and paint the black handle pure black. And I think I'm going to take the black and I'm going to do a little bit of outlining along the edge, just to clean up the lines and create like just a little bit of an outline here. Because you are going to cut, but I want to make it look a little bit neater. So that's a finished grayscale with, I have 11 different rectangles. You might have 10. You want to go for at least 10, okay? I think I'm going to finish up painting the sides here in black. And then I'm going to let that dry, put it on the drying rack, rinse my brush and my well, and you see how we didn't even use all that white? So next time I'm going to say, I'm only going to take half of the amount of white because I don't want to just dump that down the drain. It's a waste of paint and money. So I know next time, less paint. All right, you guys, that's a finished guitar. We'll cut it out and we'll be able to mount them on paper.